back in 2020, but the head coach at the time, Jon Gruden, he nixed the deal. Here's Dana White.
I worked to put that deal together for Brady and Gronk to come to the Raiders. And it was almost a done deal. And at the last minute, Gruden blew the deal up and said that he didn't want him. And all hell broke loose, man. It was crazy. And Brady was already looking at houses, and it wasn't being said yet that Gronk was coming. So Las Vegas would have had Brady and Gronk the year that the Bucs won the Super Bowl, except Gruden blew the deal up. And there's so much story that goes along with this behind the scenes. And I was never going to tell that story till Gronk just said it.
That was UFC 278 with the Gronks on ESPN+. Keyshawn, what do you make of this story that Dana White had brokered a deal to get Brady and Gronk to the Raiders?
Brokered a deal with who, though? If you didn't broker it with you didn't broker it with the head coach who's running the organization who nixed the deal, who did you broker it with? Because were you brokering it with Brady and Gronk? Because it sounds like Jon Gruden was never on board to begin with. So I don't know who Dana White's brokering with.
Yeah, I mean, Harry, is it a deal? If it's not a deal, like if the Raiders say no, then did you actually broker a deal?
It's Jon who says no. Remember, Jon had full autonomy in running everything.
That's right.
So if you were not talking directly to Jon, then who are you talking to that can broker the deal?
Well,
but is it crazy that Jon didn't want him?
Didn't he say that Jon Gruden said no to the deal?
Yeah, so essentially the Raiders said no. So Dana White's saying, hey, I brokered a deal to get Brady and Gronk. To Keyshawn's point, Harry, like, who are you brokering it with then? Who's on the other side of that deal?
Yeah,
because the Raiders said no, so the deal wasn't obviously a done deal by any means. It was just an idea that got floated out there by Dana White and Gronk is kind of what it sounds like.
I got a lot of great deals that I can float out there. Me and Harry going to play with Matt Ryan in Indianapolis right now. We getting ready to come out of retirement and go play with him. Matt wants us. He wants us, but does Chris Ballard and Frank Wright want us? That's just, it's just like.
I'm not even sure Matt wants y'all. I got to be honest with you, not at this point.
It's like, come on. I get it. It would have been great. Gronk fits perfect into the UFC, the WWE, all the other stuff. He would be great in it. I mean, it's Vegas life. Here comes Gronk, and he's going to live Vegas. I get it. It looks good. It would have been great to have. Raider fans get excited about it. But in the end, I think Jon Gruden felt good about his quarterback in Carr regardless if Tom Brady had an eye in living in Vegas or not.
Well, that's what I want to ask you, though, Key, and Amber, you too. When you see Derek Carr, right, but you have an opportunity, there's a possibility that you can get Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, a guy who's won 7 Super Bowls. At the time, it would have been 6 Super Bowls. Because that was the 2020 season. That's the season that we're talking about. Do you go for a Tom Brady and say, you know what, I'll take my chances with Tom and I got to see Derek Carr out the door? And then the flip side of that is Derek Carr hearing this news. How do you think he probably feels now moving forward?
Well, it's coming from Dana White. It's not coming from Jon Gruden. It's not coming from Mark Davis. It's coming from Dana White. Dana White doesn't own, to my knowledge, any parts of the Las Vegas Raiders. So he really doesn't have a say in the roster, the personnel decisions made inside the stadium. And to answer your initial...
Plus the Raiders turned it down. So you probably feel pretty good about that if you're Derek Carr, right? Because they rode with you. They chose you over the greatest to ever do it.
Well, was that smart by the Raiders, though, to turn it down?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's what I would say.
It was?
To answer your initial question, Harry, as much as I love Tom Brady, as much as you love Tom Brady, and he's the greatest and all this and blah, 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 I'm not getting rid of Carr right now to go get Tom Brady when he was leaving the New England Patriots. I'm just not going to do that because what we saw in Tom Brady was an outlier with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That just doesn't happen with a 40-something-year-old quarterback. Okay, when you're 40-something years old, you usually are pretty much done. It clicked, it happened, everything was perfect. The defense was on fire. They had a legit receiving core. They had nice running backs they brought in. They brought in Gronkowski. Everything worked out perfectly for them. Okay, They've been a playoff team every year that Tom Brady has been in a Buccaneer uniform. But what I would say is you can't say the same thing if you'd have gone to the Raiders, right? The Raiders, well, they didn't have any damn receivers. The secondary was horrible. The defense was atrocious. Like, it doesn't work. Just because I insert Tom Brady into the equation, you're not going to all of a sudden be a Super Bowl team.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers O-line may be broken. This is Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio. Amber Wilson, Keyshawn Johnson, Harry Douglas hanging out with you. You can always give us a call, 888-SAY-ESPN. ESPN Radio is presented to you by Progressive Insurance. So we don't know when Tom Brady is going to be back with this team. What we do know about this team is that the hits keep coming for that Tampa Bay O-line, guys. I mean, they were already trying to get over the loss of Ali Marpet, right, who retired in his 20s, Alex Kappa, who they lost in free agency. Then they lost Ryan Jensen, their center, to injury at the beginning of training camp. And now Aaron Stinney was carted off the field. He was competing for that starting left guard spot. We don't know where Tom Brady is, but an O-line matters. And this O-line, Harry, has been the strength of this Bucs team the past couple seasons. It seems like that's in major danger here at this point.
Yeah, and I tweeted something, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, is that when it rains, it pours. And you know how sometimes in Florida it may rain for like 10 minutes, but then next thing you know it's sunshine again? That's not the case right now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when it comes to their offensive line. It's monsooning. The rain is coming down. It's pouring. And when you look at a guy like Tom Brady who counts on his offensive line, it's not going to be good. And when you're going against every day the defensive line that they have, guys like Akeem Hicks, you know, Vita Vea, Shaq, I can't remember his name right now. What's his name? Shaq Barrett. Levante David, the rest of that defense. You can try to get as much work as possible, but at the same time, man, I think when you look at the offensive line, it's about continuity. It's about gelling. It's about being together, playing as one. And when you're having guys fluctuating in and out of that, it's hard to get those reps together to be in unison and to be one group and to be at the level that you want to play at. But right now, Tom Brady's not there. He will be back shortly. Basically what Todd Bowles said and the reports that we're hearing. But this offensive line being decimated, they're going to have to figure out ways how to get the football out quickly. Tom Brady was second in the National Football League last year in doing so. They're going to probably have to get it out even quicker this year, bearing that offensive line. But I think they have a good defensive line on the opposite side to give them a run for their money to try to make sure that they're ready for the season.
Not worried about the offensive line at all. I think what happens in these situations is you start to look at the names and you start to worry about, oh, my God, Tom Brady is a statue, a sub-zero refrigerator sitting in the pocket. He couldn't get out of his own way if he tried to. Ball out quick, three-step drop. You know, there's different things that Tom Brady understands that he needs to do as a quarterback to not put himself in harm's way. No matter what he's had in his career, he's had some of the best offensive lines, some of the worst offensive lines. He gets sacked. He's going to get sacked. He knows that.